What's going on, all you wild zombie hunters out there? Your two favorite Daryl Dixon enthusiasts are back tonight, and we're here to cover the entire season, actually, the whole series. This is supposed to be a one and done. It's the return of Rick and Michonne. We're talking about the entire season and series of The Walking Dead, the ones who live.
There has to be a sacrifice.
It's a broken world, Michonne. Put it together.
We couldn't do anything.
We're back with more zombie goodness, and that's right. That's my good friend Andrew Lincoln. He's back, and it had been a while since we saw him and Michonne together, and it took a couple episodes to get them back together and, acting like they did when we last saw them together. It took a lot of trials and tribulations to get them back together. Even in that first episode, just showing how Rick, wanted nothing more than to reunite with Michonne and his family, and trying time and time again and failing, and seemingly, months and days and years going by to no avail. And he's a broken man when we first saw him there. Eventually he does reunite with Michonne, and it's up to Michonne really to snap him out of it and to get the old Rick back. And that's really what this series was all about. It was about getting Rick back, because he really was a broken man. He had kind of lost that same spark that we saw from Rick, the leader. He was relegated to falling in line and following the CRM, the Civic Republic military there. And man, it was a pretty impressive series overall. It dealt with a lot of things. The episodes were creative. It wasn't just let's go out and kill zombies. It dealt with a lot of emotions and trauma and family. Really, it was really about love in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. It's all about Rick reuniting with his one love, one true love. Even though after his wife died, Michonne was the one for him. And them reuniting finally. Rick was used and abused, a prisoner. He was down in his luck. He was pretty much giving up. Trying to escape so many times and under the grasp of the CRM, just terrible military group controlling basically everything and taking over everything. And Rick trying to escape that, and finally reunited with Michonne and reigniting that love and passion they had in the past.
Speaking of old, we see some characters that we saw from the original series show up in this. We saw Jadis come back, Pollyanna McIntosh. We saw her back in this world with the CRM, and, still the same bitch, treating Rick like shit, and those two butting heads. Her trying to convince Rick to fall in line. And, she had her episode, mainly where it focused on her character, Jadis, going against Rick and Michonne, and a lot on the line in that episode. And you see what happens to her. And, one of the major gets as far as the cast for this series that I was really looking forward to, Terry O'Quinn playing the Major General here. And seemingly the big bad of this season, the person in control of the CRM. And you get some conversations with them throughout the episodes, but really in those last couple episodes you get to the real purpose of what the CRM is all about. And it was pretty shocking. I didn't see it being like that. I didn't know how deep their plan was and what they were exactly planning, but it it was pretty shocking to say the least. And that's saying something in this world of The Walking Dead, where we've came across Negan and other people that are cannibals. The governor, yes. I mean, all the villains. And then you have Terry O'Quinn's general come along, and his plan, trumps all the villains.
Yeah, I like the setup with that at the final episode with Terry O'Quinn's character. Love him. Obviously, John Locke 487312. We love John Locke from from Lost. Great actor. I loved him in Silver Bullet too. He was in that movie back in the 80s. He's been in a lot of stuff. Great actor, but he's the new bad guy, and he's really intimidating. And the last episode, he's talking about how he grew up, went to the war, went to Vietnam twice, how he trusts Rick to take over. He's not going to be around forever. He's getting super old, and the tables kind of turn, and Rick turns on him finally snaps out of it, and just sets up a beautiful ending to this episode. It goes out with a bang, so to speak, and really a phenomenal ending without giving too much away for people out there that haven't seen it, but really great finale. Didn't see that coming, and you get to see, some revenge. Finally, Rick and Michonne, bunch of mutated zombies at the same time on top of the CRM was really incredible. A lot was on the line, action and set pieces, and I loved all the effects they did. But yeah, all the mutated zombies remind me much of like The Last of Us. They're like trying to
Hmm.
stab them and it wouldn't do anything because it's so
Yeah.
thick and like
So
growing out of
calcified. Yeah.
calcified and growing out of their skulls and stuff. So they definitely,
Hmm.
brought in, newer zombies in the show and Daryl Dixon, which I, appreciate. It's not the same old thing. They've evolved, since the beginning of The Walking Dead. So we get to see that really well done from the practical effects standpoint.
I noticed that too. And you could just see the bigger budget in this, with this being planned as a movie originally. They threw that whole movie budget at this series and these episodes, and it really showed up on screen. You had the Apache looking helicopters all over. You had the military aspect, the wide shots of vast landscapes with all the zombies walking around, with all the soldiers. You had explosions, missiles. You really could feel the bigger budget here. But at the same time, they didn't just rely on a bunch of action. They made you wait, and it really paid off because they really built up it going to the end. Rick and Michonne being together. There was a lot of dialogue in episodes, specifically in the one episode where they're actually finally together on their own. The helicopter crashed and they're in the big high rise. And it was like they had their own little place there, and they were like finally able to like act like a normal couple after all that time had passed. And they had a lot of issues to hash out, so there's a lot of good dialogue there trying to figure out what they wanted. It felt like they were two different people, but after they were able to, spend a night or two together in that high rise, they finally
Bottle,
did hash it out, didn't they? Yes,
they
they
had
did.
some Johnny Walker Red, I believe, and yeah, they got
Black light,
freaky.
yeah, black. Mhm.
Johnny Walker
Exactly.
Black.
Yeah, it really felt it felt like a different kind of episode. There wasn't any action in there until the very end of that episode when they had to get out of there when the
Yeah.
CRM came back, and that it seemed like from that moment on it was more action oriented for those last few episodes. But yeah, man, I was really surprised by this series. I was expecting to enjoy it and for Rick and Michonne and all that to be, reunion with those characters, but I didn't know what they had planned for it. And I was pretty impressed. I don't see how they could do this in a movie. They needed these 6 episodes to really show everything that happened and give everybody their proper stories. You even saw the minor characters on there. The female soldier that was with Rick that sort of trained with him, she was all about the CRM. She was so focused on that and making that work. She couldn't see past it, whereas Rick did. She was, basically at every time Rick had planned to get away and, devise some scheme to have him and Michonne escape, she was always there and always catching him in the act. And she just couldn't let it go. She couldn't let him go. So yeah, they dealt with a lot in this series, and over these 6 episodes, I was really impressed with what I watched. I was really entertained. Awesome reunion, and they covered a lot of ground in these 6 episodes. We're used to the Walking Dead, the normal series being like 12, 13 episode seasons, but it really felt like a longer show, even though it was only these 6 episodes. So the length was perfect. I thought there wasn't a lot of lag time. They really hashed out the characters and the story, and introducing this larger organization, the CRM. They had a lot to do, and I thought that they really executed it well. So Scott Gimple, producers, the directors, everybody involved in here. The new zombies, like you mentioned, were awesome. They looked great. They evolved, like you mentioned. They weren't just the same old ones. There was different looking ones. There was, ones that had been, halfway melted and calcified. And man, they really upped the stakes in this. And it was a phenomenal series, and probably my favorite of the Walking Dead universe. That's hard to say, but especially spinoff. It's definitely the best spinoff there is. It feels like it's the freshest the series has been since those early Walking Dead seasons.
Definitely brought some life back into the universe, and I hate to say it, but it's bringing me back in with the past 2 shows I've watched, Daryl Dixon and The Ones Who Live. Yeah, probably one of the better ones of recent memory. Didn't watch all the spinoffs and the rest of The Walking Dead in the last few seasons, but yeah, this really brought me back into this world. So hopefully, maybe we'll see Rick and Michonne again. As you said,
Mhm.
they haven't signed on for another season, but I'd love to see them back together again. In no way they could have done this in 2 hours and ironed everything out. It would have been a mess.
No.
So they did great 6 hours of this, bringing back these two characters. What they're coming across as CRM, introducing Terry O'Quinn's character in the CRM, one of the most ruthless and badass guys, bad villains they've had in The Walking Dead, up there with Negan. I really enjoyed him. And the supporting cast, a lot of familiar faces showing up along the way. A lot was on the line. Set pieces, action. CGI was really good. Practical effects, of course, in the zombies. Really impressive. I went in with super low expectations, had a great time with the 6 episodes, and I kind of want more. So with that being said, I'm going to give The Walking Dead The Ones Who Live, that's currently streaming on AMC Plus. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Michelle and hair pieces.
I'm going to one up you. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. Rick Grimes, hair pieces.
Want to hear from you guys. What did you guys like about The Walking Dead? The Ones Who Live. What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite spin-off series? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out these wild zombies on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and reviews.
Andrew Lincoln, man, he came a long way from that first episode. I can still remember watching that first episode. Frank Darabont directed. Awesome, iconic, waking up in the hospital, him riding the horse, going into downtown Atlanta, the whole scene, where he's surrounded by zombies, the tank downtown, man. And then just seeing everything that's happened since then, it's pretty phenomenal. So if this is the last we see of Rick, it's a hell of a story, and he's one of the best, heroes in TV history at this point.
For sure.
And we also have to shout out Robert Kirkman, all the, writing all these stories. Geez, it's provided, seasons and seasons and years of entertainment. Now they're making spinoffs from what he's created. So kudos to everybody involved. And these spinoffs have really, proven to bring some life back into this Walking Dead series. So should be excited. And, one that we didn't review, Dead City with Negan and Maggie. We might have to
check it out.
Revisit that. Yeah, there's going to be a second season of that too. And then they showed a preview of Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, the second season. So it's going to be those two reuniting. So that's excited too. We're not dead in this universe yet, but if that's the end of Rick and Michonne, hell of a way to go out.
That's right.
So thank you guys for watching our review of The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. We'll be back for the next Walking Dead story. I think that'll be season 2 of Daryl Dixon. So until then, I'm Uncle Henry Grimes.
And I'm Uncle Logan Michonne, signing out until the next TV review. Cheers to the world.